Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about a sensitive subject that, or at least some people consider it to be a sensitive subject, and that is the use of torture in the war on terror. Now, before we begin talking about that, I just want to ask, if everybody has seen the movie The Chronicles of Riddick. This movie got panned by the critics and said it was awful, and not a lot of people went to go see it, but I did. In the beginning of the movie, if you remember the beginning of the movie, Judy Dench narrated the backstory of what was going on, and which led us to the present to begin the story. And in the backstory, she said that there was a great evil that was taking over the universe, and that normally good is used to fight evil, but in this particular instance, another form of evil would be needed to defeat the current one that was trying to take over the universe. Well, torture is evil. But so is terrorism. And in some instances, isn't terrorism the worst evil? Because it's very indiscriminate, whereas torture is used very much, on a single person. It's not just an entire group of people. So torture is, of course, like I said, evil. But sometimes in a free country, it's very necessary for some very good people to have to do some very bad things. And in said course of events of protecting the people of the United States and her friends and allies, causing people a little bit of discomfort all the way to inflicting pain and suffering on some monster until he or she breaks, I simply have no objection to that. Now, again, we want to think that torture is this bad thing, and you'll hear people on the left will often say, well, it's unreliable, and it's not very good, and it's not what we Americans do. And you'll hear people like John McCain, who has said that he's against torture at all levels for any reason, which is really a bad thing. Now, there are two different kinds of torture. One is, of course, the way that John McCain was tortured, and John McCain was tortured for pleasure. That it was pleasing to the people who was torturing him for him to suffer these kinds of indignities. Whereas Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was waterboarded several times, wasn't tortured like John McCain was. See, waterboarding is very scary, but it isn't exactly painful. And this didn't happen to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or KSM, whatever you want to call him, until after they had asked him several times, nicely I might add, to give some information. Now, the people on the left will say that it's unreliable information. When they're saying this, I don't know if it's that they don't know what they're talking about, or maybe they do, because if they do know what they're talking about, they're flat out lying. Let's use a different example of torturing to extract information. Let's use the Salem witch trials, and also let's use the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition. In these two particular instances, if the person was tortured to get what the person wanted to hear, whether it be the church or the village elders or whatever, people would say, okay, I'm a witch, or I'm a Jew or a Muslim in Spain, and they would get their confession and pretty much be let go. So the use of torture would be ineffective in a situation like that because they would tell you what you wanted to hear. So when the left think of something like that, that would be accurate. But in the case of somebody like KSM, when he got waterboarded, he wasn't going to be let go. So it would have been in his best interest to actually tell the truth. And of course, if it's actionable information, like it was, we'll go into that in a minute, of course he'll tell the truth. So of course it's going to be reliable. So when they say that it's unreliable, or that they'll give you whatever they want to hear, or they'll tell you, lies, they just don't know what they're talking about. Now, KSM was waterboarded a couple of times, and he was given, he gave the information that the Al Qaeda cells in Spain, France, and in Britain were going to carry out a massive sarin attack on the subways in these countries. So the U.S. gave the French, the British, the Spanish all this information and said, look, this is where he says they are, this is what's going to happen. And of course, those people in their respective countries did go after them, and sure enough, they found out that there was, in fact, a massive ricin attack that was going to be happening. So torture is effective. It may not be nice, it may not, but we want to hear, it may not be something that we want to do, but again, sometimes to do good things, or good people have to do some very bad things to keep us all safe, to be able to drive to the supermarket or to have a cookout on a Sunday afternoon, to keep everything as nice as we like it. Very good people have to do some very bad things, and we're just going to have to deal with it. Anyway, if you have any questions or concerns, please just email me down below, and we'll go over whatever topic you want to talk about or answer any questions you have. Thanks.